Hey, welcome back to Common Sense Security. Today we'll check out OT-based network discovery. That is the version of OT-based discovery that automatically discovers your OT assets using network probing. No, it's not network scanning. It's not the scanning that you know from Nmap and that you have been told over and over again how dangerous it is. That's not what OT-based discovery is doing. You're using the industrial protocols, the legitimate protocols, and their integrated functionality that inquires about make and model, serial number, installed firmware version, etc. So first, let's check out the various versions that you can download for free from our website. If you go to langro.com, in the upper right corner, you will see that download button. And that takes you to this page where you can download the various flavors of OT-based discovery. So the first one is OT-based network discovery. This is what we're going to check out today. And then there are two other versions for Windows boxes. They do host-based discovery. That means they only discover the configuration of the Windows box that they're running on, whereas network discovery discovers all kinds of devices on the network or networks. So it is not limited to one or two or five networks that it can discover. It can discover dozens of networks. It can discover thousands of devices, and actually it is used by some customers discovering one instance, discovering up to 10,000 devices. So that's a fact. And you can download this software for free from our website, as you see here. And today we are going to check out the user interface, how it is configured, how results look like, etc. So in order to do this, after installation, when you run the software for the first time, then automatically you will see the various local networks that are discovered by this particular software instance. So we see here that our OT-based network discovery can see two networks with their specific addresses. And what you also see here is the one is called low pressure network, the other is called high pressure network. And certainly that is not something that the network adapter would know about. That is something that users have added. So you can give your networks a name, which certainly adds so much to the usability, because when this data is later being processed, it is very difficult to make sense out of network addresses such as 192.168.10.0, because most likely you will have multiple networks with that same address in your facility. So this is something that you assign. So when you just select that network or any other network that you want to configure, and then you click the configuration icon up here, then you see that you can edit a couple of things, such as the network name. The default would be the network address, but certainly, as I said, this doesn't yield a lot of information. Therefore, you want to use a descriptive name here. The other thing that we have set here is a name for the discovery node. In real life, you might end up running dozens of OT-based network discovery nodes. Actually, some customers run up to 1,000 or even beyond 1,000 discovery nodes. And if you might think, well, that must be very expensive. No, it's not. It doesn't affect the license cost of OT-based. You can install any number of discovery nodes that you want, and you won't be billed for that. We only bill for the number of OT assets in the final database. So this is what you want to do. You want to set a name, and you want to set a name for both for the node and for the network, and then it gets so much easier to use. So up here in the left side, you see that name for the discovery node with a location ID. And then here you can set the network names. Good. So once that you want to dig deeper, we are now going into the next layer, you know. So if I just click on that network, now it takes me to the devices, to the assets in that network. And it looks like this. So certainly initially, when you start the software, this list will be empty, okay? And then you would have to do a discovery run by just clicking on one of those icons up here in the right corner. And after that, this is a typical result that you would see. So, and just to give you some orientation, usually by default, the IT-like devices will be color-coded in blue, and the OT-style devices, such as PLCs, they will be color-coded in lavender, if you want to call it that, okay? So here is after that probing run has finished, which might take 30 seconds or a minute, then you're going to see those results. And by the way, this is also a complete address list for those networks, because anything that is on that network will be discovered. And even if OTbase cannot make any sense out of that particular endpoint, you will still see, well, there is some endpoint at a particular address. Good. So what you see here in the lower right corner is all the various protocols that you can use for discovery. So we have divided that in IT protocols and OT protocols. Here you would see the typical IT products such as SNMP and down there in the OT protocol section, you would see something like Ethernet IP. And then you would also see network protocols, which is for the first step of discovery. So OTbase initially acquires a list of all the available endpoints on that network, and this is done by either using ARP or ICMP. In this case, this is a local network, therefore OTbase discovery knows, well, there's no point in using something like ping. I can just use ARP, which is so much quicker. And for any of these protocols, you can enable them, disable them by just clicking on that particular button here. And then you will see a dialog box popping up. You can enable it, you can disable it, and in some cases you can also set additional parameters. So such in this case, the timeout for connection establishment with the Profinet protocol. For some protocols, you might need more parameters. So for example, if I enable WinRM, then I might need to specify additional settings such as the credentials, okay? Because WinRM, as some other protocols such as SNMP version 3, will need access credentials, and you can specify them here. So, and the whole credential logic in OTbase is using 3 tiers. You can define credentials at a global level, such as global defaults, and then you can also define different credentials for the network. And what you are going to see later, you can also set credentials for an individual device. If you happen to use individual admin accounts or passwords for individual devices, you can accommodate for that as well. Okay, so very simple. If you want to enable or disable any of these protocols for your testing purposes, you just click on it, and then just by moving around that switch here, you can enable or disable them, and you might also set some additional parameters such as credentials, timeouts, and so forth. So again, this is the list of assets that OTbase network discovery is seeing in those networks, and you can filter the list by any by a couple of different aspects. You can search for devices by name, by address, and whatnot. You can filter by device type if you want to. So this already gives you a lot of mileage, but it gets much better because for any of these devices, you can also do a drill down just by clicking on any of it. And this takes you to the next layer, if you will, and you can clearly see that here in the status bar on top. It shows you that now we are actually on the third layer. So we started out with the discovery node where we saw the two networks. From there, we drilled down into one network, in our case, this high pressure network. And now you're looking at an individual device. So this is very logically structured, very easy to find your way around. And now, obviously, you're seeing a lot more detail for an individual device that we are looking at. And it starts with some general details, such as the vendor, the model. So this is a Rockwell 7056 ENBT. And most of you will know what that means as a communication adapter. For a Rockwell control system rack. You can see details about the discovery process, like when was it last seen, when was it last probed, the last result. And here it gets much more interesting because here you see all the additional details that you're interested in, such as the various connections, including the IP address, the MAC address, the speed. And you see, well, there are a couple of other connectors, some connectivity options. And apparently, I can tell right away from the addresses, they are field bus connectors. And you will see the additional details here in the modules section. So here you see all the various modules called out. For example, we see that in slot 1, we have a Circos interface. It's a motion controller. You see the firmware version, you see the serial number, you see all that stuff clearly exposed. And there it goes, right? So that last one down here, which is highlighted in a bold frame that shows you this is what we are presently looking at, right? So this is our ENBTA with the firmware version 4.003 versus the specific version number and so on. And let's go back to those field bus devices. Now it gets really interesting because what you see here is for this Circos adapter, well, there is an attached network. I would guess it would be a Circos network then. And the interesting thing is that you can now drill down even further just by clicking on this button here, which is the address of this Circos network. And by doing so, we are going another level deeper. Okay, you can also see that here in the bar on top. I can now see, well, I'm beyond that Rockwell 7056 ENBT, and now I'm in that Circos network. And let's just see what's in that Circos network. Okay, there is another device. So just to give you an idea, now we are really deep in, and certainly what technically happens here, some of you may know this. This is made possible by the zip route browsing. And this is exactly what you would also see in RS links when you execute an RS-who. So you can really browse through that whole network with all its attached subnetworks, etc. You can really go all the way down the rabbit hole. Now, the difference I would say compared to RS links is that this is much more user-friendly here. But certainly you can call me subjective on that. If you want to go back some level higher, you can either use the back button up here, or you could also click on the specific layer in that top status bar here that you want to go to. So very user-friendly. You can find your ways in a couple of minutes. And I promise you, you will love it. You will absolutely love it. So for any asset discovery purposes, this is the absolute banger. And let's briefly go back to the other option that I have shown you. And that's basically the agent that does host-based discovery, and then the mobile version that you can run from a USB stick. Again, they only show one device, whereas the network discovery can discover thousands of devices from one single instance. And now you may ask, well, so how many of those would I need to install for some decent coverage? Well, that basically depends on your network architecture. So the network discovery can do remote discovery. And let me quickly show you how this is done. So up here, you can say, well, I want to add another remote network, okay, in one of those buttons. And that can be a remote network. So what you're seeing here are two local networks. Okay, so if we go back, that's a local network. Both are local networks. And then if I click on that button, I can enter any IP address that I can reach via routing, and then that network can be discovered as well. And that brings us back to the question, well, how many installations, how many instances of network discovery would I need? And again, so this depends on your network segregation that you have already in place. If you have a very flat network, or if everything is routable, then you might get your whole coverage with just one discovery node. That's not necessarily good news, because it will also tell you right away that you have a very insecure network architecture. So what you want to see is that your local discovery, or that one instance, can only see so far. If it can route into dozens or hundreds of additional networks and see all those devices there, that's a bad sign for OT security. In other words, just by experimenting with OT-based network discovery, you already get tons of very useful information for assessing your OT security posture. Because, I mean, let's face it, the reality is that most asset owners these days still don't know how many networks they actually have or what is on those networks. And this is something that you can answer with OT-based network discovery right away, just like this. And I encourage you to do it because it's free. Just you can download it for free from our website, langner.com, and then you click on the orange download button in the upper right corner. So the next question is, what can you do with those discovery results? Okay, so you're seeing all this great information that you had always wished for. Oh, finally, I see all the devices on that network. I see the firmware versions. I see the serial numbers, etc. So how can I process this information? Well, that depends on what you ultimately want to accomplish. If you just want to get an idea what you have, well, I think that display is already good enough. But if you want to take it any further, you have basically two options. So the first option would be, you want to turn this into a nice Excel table because you love Excel, and this is the way how you have done your OT asset inventory for decades. Come on, that's you. I know you have been doing that for decades, and now you get the idea. Well, that's so awesome. And if there was only a way how I could transfer that into an Excel table, and that is actually super simple. So first of all, you cannot locally just dump the whole stuff into your Excel, because we also need to make money somehow. So while you can download the network discovery software for free, if you want to use the results, or like you want to export it to Excel, you have to pay for it. Sorry, it is what it is. But it's not expensive. So what you can do is you can take advantage of our new snapshot service. OTbase Snapshot, that's a self-service portal. And you can find information about it on our website. When you go to products, there you find an entry for OTbase Snapshot. And we will talk about Snapshot next week in the next webcast to give you some good ideas how it's actually working. But the bottom line is, so there is this portal that you can link from here, the Snapshot portal, where you open an account and then you upload the results from OT-based discovery. That can either be the network discovery, it can also be the agent or the mobile version, doesn't matter. So you export the results. So you can always export from here. The thing is that export file is encrypted. Okay, so it doesn't show a lot. But what you can do is you can upload the encrypted asset information from one or more discovery instances to the Snapshot portal. And then the magic happens and you get an Excel file back that you have never seen before, right? It contains so much detail that I promise you, you will be overwhelmed. So for the first time, you're getting an Excel asset inventory that you have almost dreamed of. I mean, even beyond your dreams, because just as an example, did you dream about your Excel asset inventory also including your known vulnerabilities, your CVEs? Isn't really that beyond the dream come true? And this is what you're going to get from OTbase Snapshot. Okay, so it will contain a separate worksheet with all the known vulnerabilities. And I think that's really awesome. Besides that, you're going to get a listing of all those devices with their serial numbers, their IP addresses, MAC addresses, etc., and all that good stuff. And if that wasn't already good enough, you can even load all those worksheets or that whole Excel file into your Power BI desktop. And for that, you get a template from us. You can also download it from the download page. And then you can really get crazy with your reporting and dashboarding, etc. And, you know, I promise you, your management, they will put you on the shoulders and carry you through the boardroom and say, oh, this is our hero. Finally, he did make it happen. Finally, we have some awesome insight into our installed base. Okay, so this is what you can do with those results from OT-based discovery, no matter if you're using network discovery or if you're using the host-based version, the agent or mobile. All those details, you're going to get that in a supercharged Excel file with various worksheets, and then you can also export it or import it into Power BI. So that is for the Excel lovers among you. So if you think, well, that's all we need, we would be more than happy if we had that. And this is, again, what we're going to discuss next week. We're going to take a close look at OTbase Snapshot. But let's just assume you are a bit further advanced in your OT asset management journey, then you would most likely think, well, Excel table. You got to do better than that, because certainly the problem with the Excel table is it isn't automatically updated, right? So, I mean, certainly you can always go to Snapshot again and do another one, but it's not even going to be cost effective. So if your idea is, well, I would really like to have all of that in a database and in an asset management platform that comes with workflow automation, etc., then what you would do is you would go for our high-powered products. So let's just go to the products webpage or web area again. So for that, we have two options for you. We have OTbase Enterprise. That's like the full solution, targeting specifically large enterprises, where you have an on-premise host with a database that stores all that information. And again, so it's using the same discovery that I've just shown you. So it's the real thing. And then the upload process, that is going to be automated, because you can tell OTbase Discovery, well, you just send your discovery files right away to that particular IP address that, as far as OTbase Enterprise is concerned, resides in your data center. It's not in the cloud. Okay, so from there you can do the exports to Excel. You can do all kinds of things. You can integrate it with your ServiceNow, with your Splunk, and whatnot. So that's OTbase Enterprise. So and that would be for the scenario where you would experiment with OTbase Discovery as a preliminary proof of concept, if you will, right? So you want to check out, well, does it really work? Is this real, or are they just shitting us? Or is it safe? Is it safe? Will it completely bring down our facilities, our production? Well, it's easy to figure out. You just install it in a test net where you have, let's just say, you're using a couple of spares or whatnot, and then you will quickly see, well, guess what? It doesn't crash everything. And the reason is simple, because this is not active scanning, my friends. This is not your Nmap. This is like your RS links on steroids, and therefore it doesn't crash anything. So OTbase Enterprise is like the full-blown product. And if you are not there yet, what you can also do for some smaller scenarios, like you're only running a couple hundred devices as an example, and so OTbase Enterprise wouldn't make sense, because the smallest license that we sell is for 1,000 devices, and you say, no, I only have 500. Then the solution is OTbase Cloud, and that from a functional perspective is pretty much identical to OTbase Enterprise, but the database runs in the cloud. And again, you would use the same discovery software that I've shown you earlier, and upload the asset information to that cloud server. And that can be automated as well. And should you be concerned about security, well, that's a one-way street. So that cloud instance will never try to talk to your discovery nodes. It doesn't even know about those discovery nodes. It just accepts all the incoming data if it determines, well, that's legitimate. All right. So certainly the integrity of this data is checked as well. And that's a one-way street. So OTbase inventory, as the component is called, will not try to talk down to the process networks, and therefore you have it completely isolated, and the only traffic that takes place is outbound. So a lot of things that you can do with the discovery software, and I encourage you to check it out, and keep in mind it's for free, right? So just once more, you go to our website, lengner.com, press the download button. This takes you to this page that we were looking at, where you can download the various flavors of discovery. What we have discussed today is OTbase Network Discovery, and you could say in a way that's the workhorse of OTbase, because it discovers hundreds of thousands of devices every day, every 24 hours at our customers. And it will discover your devices as well. With that, happy downloading. See you next week, where we are going to discuss OTbase Snapshot. Bye-bye.